Okay, everybody, welcome back to Soul Invictus. So this is going to be my own personal study. This has a very strong Gnostic take to things, but we're going to go over John 1, and we're just going to go through each chapter. And so what I'm going to do is weekly, I'm going to go through each chapter, and at the end I'll give you a little bit of my understanding. I'm going to go through some other chapters in the Bible too, and just basically talk about it. So I'm just going to go ahead and read this, and I'll give you, a little bit of a summation at the end, and it's going to be a short video. For these, I feel that I kind of need to keep going with this, but I need to make some smaller videos. So this might be 20 minutes, a half an hour. I don't know. It could be like 10 minutes long. We'll see how long this takes, okay? So if you don't know, using this Bible here, New American Bible, St. Joseph, NAB, Catholic book here. And I've got a lot of notes. Got a lot of notes in here. Anyways, all right, John 1. And if you're not familiar with it, I'm going to go ahead and read from my Bible, but you can read from here. So John 1 is right there. We're going to go read John 1. Try to keep up with that. Okay. All right. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was in the beginning with God. All things came to be through him, and without him nothing came to be. What came to be through him was life. And this life was the light of the human race. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. A man named John was sent from God. He came to testify to the light, so that all might believe through him. He was not the light. The true light, which enlightens everyone, was coming into the world. He was in the world, and the world came to be through him. But the world did not know him. He came to what was his own, but his own people did not accept him. But to those who did accept him, he gave power to become children of God, to those who believe in his name, who were born not by natural generation, nor by human choice, nor by a man's decision, but of God. This is quite important here. Just take note of that real fast. And the Word became flesh and made his dwelling among us, and we saw his glory, the glory as of Father's only Son, full of grace and truth. John testified to him, cried out, saying, "This was he of whom I said, the one who is coming after me ranks ahead of me, because he existed before me. From his fullness we have all received grace in place of grace. Because while the law was given through Moses, grace and truth came through Jesus Christ." Very important to remember that part. No one has ever seen God. Only Son, God, who is at the Father's side, has revealed him. No one has ever seen God. The only Son, God, who is at the Father's side, has revealed him. Chapter 1. This is really interesting because I'll kind of scroll down a little bit more there too later on. But if you want to read it, links down below. Sorry I didn't say that immediately, but you can go ahead and check out the Bible study tool there. Links down below for that. But this is really interesting, and if you want to read more of it, there is more to read. Really just goes up till 19, and then later on read more of that. But it says right here, it's interesting. For not of blood or of will of flesh, or of the will of man, but of God. Why is this like this, Why does it say this right here? But to all who received him, who believed in his name, he gave power to become children of God, who were born, not born of the will of the flesh, or of the will of man, but of God. So there's other reasons to be born. This is kind of what's saying right there. A lot of people would sort of skim over this, but this means there are other reasons to have been born. And the Word became flesh and lived among us, and we have seen his glory, the glory of his Father's only Son, full of grace and truth. John testified to him and cried out, "This was he of whom I said, he who comes after me ranks ahead of me, because he was before me." Now, it says here in mine, it's number 15. One who is coming after me ranks ahead of me because he existed before me. My Bible actually says existed before me. So they're already proving in my Bible, which is, I don't know if, I can't tell which Bibles are revising what and all that. This was made and I'm sure you understand it too. It makes a lot of sense, but my Bible came from some time ago. 1970. 1986, 1991. Some revived Psalms, but either way, it makes a lot of sense. He came before him, which you're probably like, well, that doesn't make any sense. But it kind of does, because he came before John existed, which would make sense that if you are the son of the initial creator, and all these other little creations came afterwards, that the initial creator comes first. The son of would come after. That's why other people in the past were named Anders' son, John's son, son of. That was typically the way that worked. That was kind of how that worked. But the son of the creator would come before the ones that are so many lineages lost from the initial creator. So if you're the great grandson of somebody else, you're still after the son of the initial creator. Which I know I'm going back. I'm circling around this, but it's pretty interesting that he's saying this as John and kind of confirming this. And why is it that in John? So just to reconfirm, like I'm done with the reading. I'm just doing John 1, and then I'm moving on from there. But why is it in this particular gospel, there's, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God? Why does it go all the way back to the beginning? John goes all the way back to the beginning to describe the comparison of Jesus to the very beginning. Why do the other gospels kind of skip over that and they just focus on like the nitty-gritty details, like the actual factual details of like, this is where he was, that's what he did. It's because it's to give a frame of reference as to Jesus as a physical character, but John gives reference to Jesus as the spiritual leader. Whereas a lot of the other ones, if we go back to Luke 1, and we're reading Luke 1, we've got, since many have undertaken in this to compile a narrative to the events that have been filled among us, just as those who were eyewitnesses from the beginning and ministers of the word have handed them down to us, I too have decided, after investigating everything anew, to write it down in orderly sequence for you, most excellent Theophilus, so that you may realize the certainty of teachings you have received. So the beginning of Luke is a recounting accordance to Theophasis to help him understand. Okay, so this is more of the kind of a letter. So it's not like trying to fully understand Jesus. It's like, hey, I'm going to send you a letter so you can get it. All right, let's go back to Mark. Whereas John is like, let's go back to the beginning. I'm going to show you why Jesus is connected to the true source creator. Let's go back to Mark. Let's talk about Mark here. Marky Mark. Well, maybe not Marky Mark, but talk about Mark. And if Marky Mark, you're watching, I apologize. But, all right, Mark 1, in the beginning of the gospel of Jesus Christ. Preaching of John the Baptist, as it is written in Isaiah the prophet, behold, I'm sending a messenger ahead of you. You'll prepare your way. A voice of one crying out in the desert, prepare the way of the Lord, make straight your paths. John the Baptist appeared in the desert, proclaiming a baptism of repentance for the forgiveness of sins. People of the whole Judean countryside and all of the inhabitants of Jerusalem were going out to him and were being baptized. Then it goes on with Jesus' baptism. It starts up with Jesus' baptism. Mark doesn't really have much information, or else maybe things were edited out. I don't know. Definitely things in the Bible were edited out. Mark doesn't really go back to that description initially. Let's go back to Matthew. Let's see what it says in the beginning of Matthew. All these are different. This is my whole point that I'm trying to get to. They're all different with their initial startups. And why are they different? Could be due to editing. Could be due to the fact that they didn't find a very big focus on trying to point Jesus to the Creator, whereas others were trying to point Jesus to a miracle worker, a healer, you know. All right, so we go back to Matthew. Matthew actually goes back into the bit of genealogy. It says chapter 1, book of genealogy of Jesus Christ, the son of David, son of Abraham. Abraham became the father of Isaac, Isaac the father of Jacob, and on and so forth. We go to birth of Jesus later on. I'm not going to read all that right now, because you can read it if you want to. I'm just trying to point out particular things. Now, this is how the birth of Jesus came about. Still in Matthew 1. When his mother Mary was betrothed to Joseph, before they lived together, she was found with child through the Holy Spirit. Joseph, her husband, since he was a righteous man, yet unwilling to expose her to shame, decided to divorce her quietly, such as his intention, when, behold, the angel of the Lord appeared to him in a dream and said, Joseph, son of David, do not be afraid to take Mary, your wife, to your home, for it is through the Holy Spirit that this child has been conceived in her, and she will bear a son, and you are to name him Jesus, because he will save his people from their sins. All this took place to fulfill what the Lord had said through the prophet. Behold, the virgin shall be a child and bear a son. They shall name him Emmanuel. Chapter 2 talks about the visit of the Magi, which is very interesting because that is Zoroastrians right there. The Magi were the top tier, and they used astrology to find Jesus. They're the ones to find Jesus. they're the ones that, gave Herod some ideas. Yeah, so that's really interesting that we got each one of the Gospels starts up with a little bit of different something, and maybe some were edited out so it didn't repeat, but it would make sense because a lot of what each Gospel says, there's a lot of repeats in each of the Gospels. So why was it like this? Well, John focused on the fact that Jesus is the true connection, the source. Okay? And so, him being connected to source and everything that it is that way, it's just very interesting. So, it's just, I just wanted to do like a small little segment here and just kind of talk about it. I've given a little bit of my opinion onto this, a bit of trying to do some Gnostic stuff, but I want to do more of these, and I found out that sometimes doing like really long, like hour videos and stuff, it helps me get a lot out, but I don't know if everybody gets to watch the whole thing. So I don't know if you get to hear everything I've been able to say. So there's a lot of times I get some comments and I'm like, kind of said it in the video, but I can go ahead and answer it again. It's okay. But I'm trying to figure out how to do these a little bit more beneficial for me and my time. I do have a lot of things I'm trying to work on and trying to do. And so I do want to do more of these kind of videos, and I'm very interested in doing something like this. Part of the problem too is like there's just a lot of videos that I could make. I would just kind of say, well, just be good and nice to other people, and that's really all you got to know. And there's not much more to go on beyond that. There's not a lot to compile besides that, because then like, well, good thoughts, good words, good deeds. The same thing the Zoroastrians kind of practice is basically kind of what Jesus is talking about. But I'm going to go through each section here in John, and I'm going to try to compare some things or give you my understanding as to what I've been able to glean from it. And I think there's a lot of people that do want to know more about it. I've had other people, tell me that I should keep going with this. And some of the times it's like I want to, but then it feels like a lot of people have already said a lot of what I'm saying anyways. And, there definitely are things that I'm saying that I've learned that I've seen other people say after me, which is quite interesting. But, there's just the basics, it's really just a lot of the basics about what Jesus had to say. He came into our world to give us an understanding that there is more to life than acquiring things and status and, money and the idea of things. There's so much more to our life than that. And a lot of us, we just kind of take it for granted, because we just think, well, this is the way the world works, so we got to work with the way the world works. But you don't really, truly have to, not to a full, complete degree. And there's ways to improve your life, through what you've read in the Bible. And there's definitely things in the Bible that I know Jesus was saying, you don't follow my Father, you follow the devil. Jesus said this to a lot of the Jews in certain situations, and a lot of the time, basically saying that you're focusing on the physical too much. You're focusing on, this anger, this hatred too much, and you don't follow the true source creator of love. You're following something of war and of hate. And he was trying to get across that type of point. And as we read through John, you're going to see more and more of that. And so I'm going to try to get up to, I'll get up to 2 next week, and we'll go through that. So I just wanted to make some shorter videos for this and give you some explanation, give you some understanding. hopefully give you a little bit of inspiration too, because it's really like, you know, if you haven't sparked your light, you know, I'm hoping be the lighter for you and get you sparked. But as soon as you get that fire going, you have to also be that fire and spark a light for others too that don't have that fire going too. So it's like we're chain effect helping everybody else. You know, it's that whole pass it along kind of thing in a kind of a sense. So I really just encourage you to, you know, do what you can. And I'd have to say it's a hard thing if you don't see results all the time, but just know that the more you do, there are results that happen sometimes behind the scenes that you're probably not, you know, paying attention to. So, you know, we'll start up chapter 2 next week, and this is actually a good thing for me because then sometimes these hour videos they take a while to do, and then sometimes they don't load correctly, and then I've got to redo some things. And so if I just do like a smaller segment here, I could get one out a week, and that would actually help with, you know, some of this too, because some people really keep asking for this, and then sometimes a month goes by and then 2 months go by and I'm trying to juggle so many things. This will make it so much easier. So if you have any questions, leave it in the comments down below. I'll get back to you, and I'll see you next week. And if you have any comments, I'll get back to you as soon as I can. So thanks so much for watching. Please, you know, if you do like this kind of content and you want to see more, please subscribe. I will continue to go through and talk about this with the knowledge that I've acquired. This isn't going to be something that I'm going to really ask you what you want to hear. It's what I know. I'm going to tell you what I know, and that's how this is going to be. And I think everybody already kind of knows that, but I really do appreciate all the comments and all the people that subscribed. And I do get back to you when I see the comment, and I will respond. So thank you for watching Soul Invictus, and I will see you next week in the next video for John number 2, chapter, well, number 2 in the book here. I'm going to go through smaller segments here. So in my book here, it says number 2. See at the top there. Book of Signs. We'll start up there, okay? So we went through one page, and we'll start up right up there. We'll get through that, okay? So not necessarily chapter number 2, but up here, which in a way, smaller segments will make this a lot easier. And we'll get through all of John, okay? We're going to go through each segment one by one. Okay, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.